All right. Welcome back to the High Performance Physique podcast. Never normally do intros anymore. It's kind of like a dying name for this podcast. But welcome, Mr. Sam Warren. Thank you very much for joining us today in the hot seat.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, so today, me and Big Marco are going to put Sam in the hot seat and just run through his exceptional journey. I've known Sam now for, what's that, like 15 weeks? 16.
Yeah, about that, yeah.
Yeah, I met him over in Bali. We hit it off over a sandwich at a cafe. And since then, it's been chalk and cheese. Been killing it since he came on board the programme. He's absolutely crushed it. He's got a photo shoot tomorrow. And over that time, the more we've got to know each other, I found his journey and story incredibly insightful and inspiring. I thought, let's get him on a podcast, tell the story a wee bit. So, if you want to kind of take us back, right? Take us back almost like, I wouldn't say elevator pitches, but just give us a wee run through insight, go as deep as you want to go, and let the audience know what you're all about, brother.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, so a bit of a gloss over, really. I was born in Epsom. My parents split up when I was pretty young, and then my mum remarried a farmer, and I moved from Epsom down to the West Country. Suddenly lived on a farm, had a new dad and a new family, and my earliest memories of childhood really is just not feeling like I fit in, a lack of connection, and just feeling a little bit lost. Also, apologise, parents, for anything I say that's upsetting. I don't want to upset them
all been there in podcasts, man.
But yeah, real old school farming family. Didn't show affection, no hugs, no saying I love you. And I feel like I lack connection. When I look back now, I had no connection, and my connection was with animals. I started riding horses at a young age, and that was where I found connection, really. I went to school, I went to private school, didn't really fit in there, wasn't academic, didn't really feel connection with other people at the school. Got took out of private school, went to state school, got picked on and bullied a bit for being small and posh and things like that, and just didn't have connection. When other kids were messing around, hanging around out of school, I wasn't involved in that. I went to school, came home, rode my horses, exercised my ponies, and my dad was always working, my mum was working a lot, and I was just by myself a lot of the time. I had a little brother. We didn't get on. We do now. But
thank God. Family's everything.
He just used to get me in trouble all the time. But from quite a young age, I knew I wanted to do something with horses. And at 16, I left home and moved to Newmarket to seek fame and fortune as a jockey. And I was expected to do quite well. I was quite successful riding in my childhood. And I had every thought that I was going to make it and everything was going to be good. But left home at 16, too young to be leaving home, really. Didn't know how to survive in the big world, and still didn't feel like I fit in, and just kind of followed the crowd, trying to people please, trying to feel part of, and trying to find connection, which I never really had. And in doing that, I started going out drinking. Alcohol, I never really loved. Didn't really like the taste of it. Didn't really like the feeling of being drunk. And then one night somebody offered me my first ecstasy pill, and I'm not going to lie, it was probably the best night of my life. And for 5 minutes I had an amazing time, and I thought ecstasy gave me everything I wanted. It gave me confidence. I was suddenly talk to girls, dance. I suddenly went from being on the outside looking in, not feeling part of, to feeling like I was the centre of attention. And it gave me that connection to people. And I thought, this is it. This is amazing. So every weekend I then started going out drinking, taking ecstasy. And people were coming up to me asking me for ecstasy because they could see I was off my face. And started getting a few pills here to sort out mates. And before I knew it, I was dealing pills in clubs, quite a lot of pills, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. And it wasn't too long before I started getting in trouble. I got arrested a few times pure luck that I only had minor possession, because if they'd have got me 5 minutes earlier or 5 minutes later, it would have been a different story. My house got raided a few times.
Damn.
That's not a nice feeling.
Fuck that.
Again, pure luck. If they'd have come on another day or another time, I'd have been looking at a long stint in prison. But these things didn't even shock me or think, oh shit, I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I just batted it off. I nearly got a buzz off of it from getting away with it. And then I don't even know where it happened, but somewhere along the line, I just lost all focus on making it as a jockey and just started living for the weekend. That was all I wanted. Just couldn't wait for the weekend to go out and get fucked up with my mates. And then it went from Thursday, Friday, Saturday to, Wednesday would sneak in, or a Monday would sneak in. And before I know it, it was just happening all the time. And obviously it affected my work. I had a few rides as a jockey, but I didn't make it. I blamed it on everybody else for why I didn't make it. But now I know it's my actions, my behaviour. I thought nobody could see what I was doing, but I'm sure they could. I got arrested in front of one of the bosses. I got carried out to De Niro's nightclub in Newmarket in handcuffs, and the assistant trainer was stood on the other side of the road watching me get put in a car. So I don't think it was down to other people stealing my rides.
Reputation. Toilet.
It was my own stuff. But yeah, life carried on like that for a while. Thought I needed to get out of Newmarket. Went to California for a few months to work in the winter. Thought I'd get my head screwed back on. I landed in LAX at 5 a.m. in the morning. Got took to the track, met the boss, met a few people. Someone said there's a party tonight. Went to a house party. Within an hour of being at the house party, I was upstairs in some random bedroom with people I've never met before sniffing coke. And it's like, how has this happened? This was not the plan. I'm resourceful, if nothing else. And yeah, I had an amazing time out there, but it was ruined by me participating in drugs again. Going to work, riding 10 horses on 2 hours sleep is not the one. So did that, came back to Newmarket. Life carried on as it was. Couldn't do relationships. I was just getting in trouble left, right and centre. And life carried on like that for ages, really. Went back to America again the following year. Kind of same thing happened. Although that time, actually, I ended up at another house party. Some girl started chatting to me, asked me if I wanted to go off to her bedroom. So I thought, oh, yeah, I'm going to get a bit lucky here. Went off to the bedroom. She passed me some pipe like I'd never seen before. And me just wanting to fit in and be part of it, I was like, yeah, all right. So I started smoking this pipe, and it wasn't until the next day I realised I was smoking crystal meth that night.
Jeez.
Yeah, I was talking to my boss that morning. I didn't know if I'd been talking to him for 5 minutes or 5 hours. I kind of half blacked out and come round, and he's looking at me like I'm a weirdo.
Yeah.
I thought, Jesus, it's not good. So yeah, then went back to Newmarket, failed relationships, behaving like an idiot, getting arrested, getting in trouble, losing jobs. And then in 2004, I landed a job at Godolphin, which was the creme de la creme, kind of as high as I could go working in horse racing. And I thought, oh, this is it. I'm going to be happy now. I won't do all those things I've been doing.
Still kind of chasing external, like the
I
validation.
can focus on this.
Yeah.
And that worked for a while, but the only problem was I went from doing what I was doing to now working half the amount of hours and being paid twice the amount of money. So that just gave me more time and more resources to behave like I was. And since getting in recovery, I mean, I'm now coming up, I'll be 4 years clean and sober this year.
Nice.
You hear this phrase, functioning addict. I was not a functioning addict. I was functioning to some degree, but I was a delusional addict. That's what I class myself as. Because I had a nice car, a nice house, a job, I didn't think I was an addict. I thought I was all right. I thought I work hard, I play hard.
Just a couple of bad habits here and there.
And everybody else is doing it. They do more than me. I stopped and he carried on going for another hour. So I was deluded, didn't think I had a problem, just carried on like I was. And then I went on a couple of dates with a girl and she fell pregnant and wanted to keep the child. And I was like, well, it's up to you. I'm not going to tell you you've got to get rid of this kid. It's kind of your choice. She decided to keep the baby. We got together, tried to make it work. And one of my mates was like, this could be what sorts you out. This could be good for you. I thought, yeah. Having a kid, that'll sort me out. It didn't. My son was born on Father's Day. And I can remember the nurse saying that mum and baby are going to have to stay in overnight. And she hadn't even finished the conversation. I knew what I was doing. I left the hospital, went through Cherry Hill and picked up a kebab straight to the dealers, straight around my mate's house, and celebrated wetting the baby's head. Knowing that the next day I had to get up, go to hospital, pick up my newborn child and mum and drive them home from the hospital.
Yeah. Be a dad. Step into fatherhood straight away off the back of that.
And looking back now, it's just shocking behaviour. But at the time, I didn't think anything of it. And that relationship didn't last, like all my relationships. Partly down to her, but a lot of it was me as well. And that failed like everything else did, really. And my life didn't change. I mean, I had stints of sobriety. I say sobriety. I'd have areas where I wasn't taking drugs because I'd get with a girl that I liked and I think, oh, they'll sort me out or they don't want me doing it.
Mm.
But all it did really was make me more sneaky, more deceitful.
You find a lot out about yourself when you're in a relationship and you've got all these bad habits you don't want them to know.
Yeah.
And you start being like a little like conniving, little weird planner. It's like, how am I going to get this in? How am I going to do that? I've been through similar things. Maybe not on your level. You're like DEFCON 1 or like the peak status of it all, but I can relate to you on that.
And then working at Godolphin for the first stint of it, I'd do 6 months in Dubai, 6 months in England. And it makes me sad looking back now because that was an amazing time of my life and I just didn't appreciate it. Because when I was in Dubai, I couldn't get my drug of choice. So I drank like an alcoholic because I couldn't do what I wanted to do. So then I'd even take like a week's holiday from work and fly back to England from Dubai, literally just so I could get on the sesh for a few days and then go back to Dubai.
Jeez.
Which is absolutely bonkers.
It's actually quite crazy hearing like the lengths you go to when you're so caught up in that cycle.
You just can't see it.
Yeah, it's like looking like you're, getting with these new girls, getting this new job, thinking this is going to sort me out, this is going to sort me out. But the whole time, like the baby's born, that's something to celebrate. Yeah. So you just fall back into those old habits as if it's okay because, like grasping, desperately trying to be who you want to be and get away from it. But at the same time, you're just, rather than looking externally at what the problem is, you're looking at everything else to sort you out, whilst at the same time finding ways to still self-soothe with going back to what you know. Because, with the drugs, you knew what they were going to give you. They were never going to let you down.
No.
You knew exactly what you were going to get from that. And there was comfort in that, So it was like the baby being born, you were like, this is new. I don't know what I'm doing here. But as soon as the nurse tells you that, they're going to stay the night, you're like, right, okay, I've got a free night. I know what I'm doing. Because you can go back to that familiarity and it's comforting.
But I didn't even enjoy it then. And I knew I didn't enjoy it. Like the first start of my partying and drug using, yes, I had an amazing time. But I think the fun stopped when I was about 26, 27 when my son was born. And then I wasn't enjoying it, but I was still doing it every single week.
Yeah.
And then the amount of times I laid in bed on ceiling duties, looking at the ceiling, thinking I'm going to have a heart attack, I'm not a religious person, but, oh, God, if I make it through tonight, I swear to God, I'll never touch drugs again. And if you put me on a lie detector test then, I'd have passed because I did not want to touch drugs again. But the next day or a couple of days later, it's like your body just forgets and goes, I think it'll be all right. I'll have another little go.
Bro, it's so mad, man.
back doing it again.
Just justifying it every single time. What's like, well, this, because from my experience, even when I was like getting off, when I didn't like smoking anymore, smoking weed, I used to smoke like 10 joints a day. I was just always high as fuck. And I was quote unquote successful, even with, it was delusional. Similar to you, so I relate with you on that. And I stopped even liking it. I was just doing it. And I started, the world was telling me signals to stop, like falling asleep at the wheel, crashing my car, mental health issues, passing out when I would smoke, like fainting, like anxiety, all these things. And then the following day I'd wake up, I'm like, but there's still a wee bit in the rolling tin.
Yeah.
Straight back to doing, or I'd be like, I'll only smoke it this time. And then I'd do it one day and I'd be like, straight back.
Yeah, I'd be
fucked,
like, right, I'm
man.
just going to, because I smoked a lot of weed as well.
Yeah.
I'm just going to smoke weed at weekends. Well, that didn't work. I'd go a few weeks sometimes without drinking or sniffing, and it's like, oh, I've gone 3 weeks without doing any drugs. Have a little treat. Treat yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's bonkers. But I started getting sad, depressed. I wasn't happy, but I put it down to multiple different reasons to why I wasn't happy, but none of it was the drink or the drugs. It was, I want this car, or I want to buy that, or sort this money, or I've got that bill to pay, or a new relationship, and I'd get all these things and nothing would make me happy. And then now looking back, I can see why it was. It was my insides telling me, like, you're behaving in the wrong way. This is not the person you're supposed to be.
Incredible quote. Life's a mirror, not a window.
Subconscious was hammering at the door going, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And yeah, so then I thought, right, I need to sort myself out a bit. I was actually in a relationship with somebody for a couple of years that was major anti, and I wasn't taking drugs when I was with them. But she drank like a borderline alcoholic. Sorry if you hear this.
She still is negative to an extent, you know.
And then in 2019, I had an accident at work, not drink or drug related. Got smashed up by a horse, shattered my fib and tib. They told me I was going to be out of work for a year, and I didn't know how to deal with that. I was such an active person. Although I was doing all these things and partying and stuff, I'd go to work, I'd run 5K every day. I was still relatively fit and busy.
Was this even when you were still using a lot?
Drinking, but I hadn't been using drugs for a couple of years. The odd sneaky time here and there when she wasn't looking, and getting in trouble most of the time, because turns out you can tell when I'm on drugs. So yeah, they told me I was going to be out for a year, and then my focus was like, right, just getting back fit. I've got to get back fit to get back to work, because this is my identity. This is my life. This is all I want to do. I can't do anything else. So then I was cycling, physio, trying to get back fit. Then lockdown hit. Gym's shut. My fiance at the time was like, I can't deal with your depression. We're not getting on anymore. I want to go traveling. I'm out. She left. As soon as she left, I mean, again, that conversation, she hadn't even finished the I'm dumping you conversation. And I was like, I'm getting on it. Because I haven't been able to do it.
At the time, the best thing ever was her leaving.
So then I just went straight back to what I was doing, and it was lockdown. I'm sat in this lovely big house. I've got a nice house, nice car. I'm not doing large quantities of drugs. I'm just doing a .5 a couple of times a week and a bottle of wine and smoking loads of weed. But that was my rock bottom. I just didn't want to live anymore.
Was it you being in this house, having these possessions, on paper having some elements of success, but just sitting in your own head knowing you were just acting like the lowest version of yourself?
Yeah, and I started taking drugs because it gave me the thing I wanted more than anything was connection. And it gave me that in abundance to start off with. But slowly it started stripping it away, until it's left me. I didn't go out anymore. I didn't go to parties. If I did go to a party, I stayed there for a short period of time, and then I wanted to go home so I didn't have to share my drugs. And I didn't want to talk to people, because Also, I've now diagnosed ADHD, and cocaine, I now realise I was self-medicating. That's another part of it. It chilled me out. It quietened my head, stopped the noises.
Probably made you like more straight edge in a weird way. Like,
yeah, it just, so I'm stood in the kitchen because that's where the drugs are. So I'm not leaving the kitchen. And everybody else is having all these conversations telling me the same thing for the 15th time in the last half an hour. And it's triggering me to shit because I'm just chilling out. But I don't want to leave because the drugs are here. But then I stopped doing that, and then I just used to use by myself because it quietened my head, because it stopped the noise, chilled me out. But now I've lost all connection to absolutely anybody and everybody. My son, I used to see him. I split up obviously quite a while ago with his mum, but I wasn't present. I wasn't present with my son. I wasn't present with my family. And all this time, my mum and dad have no idea. They've got a bit of an idea now.
are they a bit older? What, are they like 70s?
Yeah, my mum's 70. My dad's a bit younger, my stepdad. But they lived miles away. They lived in the West Country. I moved to Newmarket, so I hid all my behaviour and everything from them. I saw them a couple of times a year. They didn't have a clue. But yeah, just that carried on. And then I would say I wasn't going to use, I wasn't going to do anything, but I'd find special occasions. And the UFC was on one night. So that's a good reason. So a neighbour come round, had a bit of gear, watched the UFC, knowing that the next day I had to drive to Newbury to meet my mum and dad and get my son back because they'd had him for a week. I mean, I stopped about 3 o'clock in the morning, drove at 10. I wasn't drunk. I was potentially over the limit still. I don't know. But I was tired. More than anything, I was tired. And it was on and off raining. And I hit surface water, aquaplanes, and flipped and rolled my car off the M11 into a field. I should not have survived that crash. But at this stage of my life, I didn't want to take my life, but I was kind of disappointed every morning when I woke up.
You were waiting for you didn't want to take it, but you were waiting for life to take it.
Yeah, I wasn't bothered.
Reckless.
You would have welcomed death.
But heading towards those trees at 70 mile an hour, thinking this is it. Some people say, oh, my life flashed before me. My life didn't flash before me. I just got this deep feeling of disappointment, regret, not now. And I realized I didn't want to die. I wanted to live. Survived that crash somehow, broke my shoulder. But that was kind of the first time I thought, right, my life is meant for more than this. Higher power, people cringe about higher power and all this.
I believe that shit, man.
I believe higher power saved me that day, and that my life was meant for more. And I thought I need to try and sort myself out. Also, by now, unfortunately, sadly, one of my friends had taken his life. And I didn't realize anything was wrong with him. He literally lived like I did. He had a job. He had missus, kids. He just used like I used. And he decided he couldn't go on anymore and took his life. And that kind of shook me a bit. I was thinking, shit.
Started doing a bit like the calculations. It's like, but he has this, I've got this. He was doing that, I was doing that. How long do I have left before it goes?
And then over a 3-year period, I lost 5 friends to suicide. All behaving like I behaved. All on the outside looking like they had their shit together and that they were just enjoying life. Yeah, they drinked and used drugs, but everything's all right. Hey, everybody does it. And I started to think that I don't believe any one of them actually wanted to do it. I think they had a moment of madness whilst using and made a split-second decision that they couldn't go back from. And that could have been me. Could have been me. So I started thinking, right, I need to sort my shit out.
Can I ask before you dive into that bit, but do you ever feel when you were like maybe feeling low, like full of guilt and shame and, you know, externally projecting maybe anger in the world that it should have been you, not them?
not then. Now I've had a bit of survivor's guilt sometimes through other people I know that have never lived a life like I live. That bad things happen to them. And I think you've lived your life clean as a whistle, healthy, never done anything bad to anyone, and you get some terminal illness or freak accident. And then there's me, which on occasions not been worth the air I'm breathing. Just skimming through by the skin of my teeth, surviving and swerving everything. So yeah, I've had some episodes of guilt about that, but what's meant to be will be, unfortunately.
True.
So yeah, I thought, right, this is it. I need to try and sort myself out a little bit here. It's getting a bit too much. I started getting paranoid, thinking I am actually going to die if I do not sort my life out. But still didn't think it was a drink and drugs that was a massive problem. So
it's like, wake the fuck up.
By now I was like, right, I don't have a job. They've now said it's career ending. I'm never going to ride a horse again. I don't really know where I'm going with my life. I've not got any money. I've not got a relationship. And whatever else I thought I needed and wanted. So I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll stop drinking and sniffing coke for 3 months until my job situation's sorted, my relationship situation's sorted, and whatever else it was that I thought I needed in my life. And then I'll be able to go back to using and everything will be all right. And then during this period, I was now smoking a ridiculous amount of weed because...
What are we talking?
Oh, just constantly, like quarter a week, if not more, probably more.
Yeah.
Because I kind of drank, sniffed and smoked weed spread out, and now that's taken away. So it's just weed.
Yeah. Always like just numb and just like, blah.
I only knew one person that had got clean. I was thinking, I don't know anybody. All my mates either still use and don't think they've got a problem, or have never really used. I didn't know anybody that had stopped, really. And then I remembered one friend that had not spoke to me for 10 years because they had a bad time, nearly died one night, changed their life around and obviously stopped talking to me and a load of others. So I reached out to him kind of like, hey, how you doing? I've sorted my life out. Do you want to meet for a coffee? And he goes, yeah, all right, I'll meet you for a coffee. So I met him for a coffee and was telling him how amazing I'm doing. And he goes, what about the weed? Oh, yeah, that's all right, though. That makes me happy. He goes, no, the weed's not right, mate. He said, you need to sort your life out. He goes, I'm going on holiday for a week. Smoke as much weed as you can for that week, because when I get back, I'm taking you to a meeting. A meeting? Yeah, NA, Narcotics Anonymous. I thought, oh, all right, whatever. So he went on holiday, come back, took me to a meeting. I can't remember what was said in that meeting. I can remember who was there, but all I can really remember is that is the first place in my entire life I felt like I fit in.
Wow. It's like a full circle moment. I'm like, I'm seen.
I was like, I still always feel on the outside looking in any situation I'm in, apart from there. I drove home with no music on, radio on, and cried driving home. I didn't even know why.
Would you have said, like, even over this full time horizon of you doing what you've done, feeling the way you felt, did you ever cry, like, prior? So it was like, we've cracked you a wee bit?
I think the time I cried before that was in the ambulance going to hospital after I got smashed up at work.
And that's kind of understandable because it was your tib and fib, which is mental.
Yeah. But no, I was numb.
Mm.
And yeah, I just thought I was given service at that first meeting. I was like, someone came up to me and goes, "You're the new tea boy. You got to get milk. You're the most important person at the meeting. If you're not here, no one can have a cup of tea." And I was like,
Purpose.
okay. So then I started getting obsessed with, I was getting a little box and getting all smart biscuits and just started getting obsessed with, because I can obsess over anything.
Yeah.
And started going to meetings and listening and seeing people in these meetings that, first of all, I was like, "You're not addicts. You don't look like addicts." Because they were smiling, they were laughing, they had families, jobs, connection, all these things. And I just thought, I want what you got. So I just kept going to meetings, and suddenly I realised the drink and the drugs were the problem. The whole time, shock horror, it was the drink and the drugs. But it was more than that. It was me. I was the problem. Using that as a coping mechanism to deal with emotions, feelings that I didn't know how to deal with. And when that got taken away, they say about the good and the bad thing about recovery. The good thing is you get your feelings back. The bad thing is you get your feelings back.
It's a pendulum, isn't it? It's like what goes up must come down. I remember saying to Amy once, a couple of years back, when probably the first time I'd been like sober for like the whole relationship, like not either drinking on a weekend or taking drugs on a weekend or smoking every day. I was like, "Is this what love feels like?" And she was like, "Yeah, you fucking idiot. I felt this way for like years." And I was like, interesting, because I just felt kind of like connected and like aware, and like I just felt at peace, you know what I mean? And like before, I'd just always be like, "Oh," just numbed out. It's such a weird feeling, isn't it?
And I started to have real connections with people.
Yeah.
Before, anybody I spoke to, it was transitional. It was like
Transactional.
Yeah, transactional. It was, what do they want from me, or what can I get from them?
Yeah.
Like, I thought these people were my friends, but really it was just trying to get drugs off the other person, or
just being in that environment where it's enabled. You know, because if you're in a group of people, if you're all sitting in the pub, and every time somebody goes to the toilet, like, "Oh, I'm away to the toilet, you want one?"
Yeah.
Then everybody sitting there is fine, because that's just, you know, you're not a problem. Nobody else is a problem. I'm the same as everyone else. This is fine, you know. And then that in itself is a transactional relationship. That's a symbiotic relationship where, you know, you feel like there is no problem because the environment I'm around promotes that.
Yeah.
That's what we all do. That's why we're here. That gives us, it's like a fireplace. It's a sense of place for everybody to sit around, you know, and get heat and warmth off of, you know, without realising you get too close, you get fucking burned, you know what I mean?
But these people actually wanted what's best for me, not what they can get from me. And they all hug.
Just the milk and biscuits.
Oh, yeah. Well, had the milk and biscuits. I got the best meeting for biscuits, that meeting.
Foxy's.
Oh, there was an M&S, Marks and Spencer's over the road, so I was going all out. Have you seen, now they've brought out custard creams and they've coated them in chocolate.
What the fuck?
It's like,
this was happening post photo shoot.
It's like evolution of the biscuit world.
It's really crept up a notch, hasn't it?
But forget about those. But yeah, so started going to meetings, and then I couldn't believe it that the desire, the constant urge to use, just kind of flitted away.
Do you think that was what, like, brotherhood, community, being seen, having accountability maybe, or just knowing that you felt part of people that were actually, I say normal, like have been through what you've been through but came out the other end to an extent?
Getting honest.
Honesty, aye.
Yeah.
Getting honest is the most important, biggest thing, because deep down I kind of know I had a problem, but actually saying it out loud, not making light of the situation that you stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning and you thought you're going to have a heart attack and joking about it down the pub with your mates.
Yeah.
Actually being honest about it and saying, I'm fucked.
It's quite mental though. See, when you've had like some close calls and you know you've pushed the boat out too hard with like substances and stuff, and you're saying to all the other mates that are doing the same thing, like, I think I nearly died last night. Ha 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 ha. But it's like, in the back of your head, you're like, I actually fucking nearly died last night.
Do you think that if you had went sooner to a meeting, it would have fixed things? Or do you think that you had to run that course until it was just the time was right and you were just actually ready?
Yeah. You see a lot of people come into meetings, get a bit of clean time, dip back out, come to meetings, not feel it for whatever reason. I found it at the right time for me. I was that scared of staying the same. What is this that they say? You only change when the fear of staying the same outweighs the fear of change.
Banger quote.
And that's where I was at. I was at wit's end, like something's got to change, and I will take any suggestions and do what's suggested. Not, you be all right, have a drink, have a line, which is what my mate suggested to me. That stuff started to get better, and I started to realise that all my depression was not down to not having a car or not having a relationship or not going to this. My depression was the fact that I was ashamed of the person I was.
Huge.
Like, I knew I had not been brought up that way. I'd been brought up. Okay, so my parents, I'm getting a bit of goosebumps here.
Good, man.
Yeah, my parents didn't hug me and tell me they loved me. But they were amazing parents. My stepdad, he was hard on me. He knocked me about a little bit, but he's one of the greatest men I know. And I blamed him for quite a lot. I used on resentments a lot of my life. And I blamed him for a lot of things. But now I look back, he took me on when he was 27 years old. He didn't have a clue what to do, really. And he's one of the greatest men I know. He's the things he's done for me in my life, a lot of dads don't do for their own kid.
It's huge you can look back on that and give him the gratitude in hindsight.
Yeah, I didn't get some things that I want and needed, but the life I had growing up on a farm, having ponies, he helped me get my first house when I moved to Newmarket, and he's done so much for me, and he continues to do so much for me. When my son was born, if we had a girl, she was choosing the name, and if we had a boy, I was choosing the name, and we didn't know. And Father's Day, and it was a boy, and I was like, yes. So first of all, I named him Rio after a racehorse that I was riding every day for 4 years called Rio de la Plata. And middle name Richard after my stepdad, just as we don't talk about feelings and stuff, but I want to kind of know how much you mean to me. So did that. But yeah, back to the depression. I started to feel better about myself, started to be prouder about how I'm living my life, not covering with all these mirrors and masks and pretending to be a certain way and act a certain way and actually being different. Like making out like, no, I don't do all those things, but behind closed doors, lying, cheating, stealing.
It's a mask you wear, isn't it? Yeah. Clown mask. It's only when you finally take the fucking makeup off and you're not smiling and you're fucking distraught.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
And probably, I don't know, a year into my recovery, I'd got a sponsor, started doing the step work, which is where the real magic happens. 12-step program, started looking at my thoughts and my feelings and resentments and